Welcome to the Daily Threat, your trusted source for the latest in cybersecurity news. Today, we're diving deep into three critical stories that highlight the ongoing and evolving threats in the digital landscape. Our focus will be on a concerning phishing attack targeting Microsoft Copilot, the exploitation of a Cisco Smart Install feature by hackers, and a recently released exploit for a Cisco SSM bug that allows attackers to change admin passwords. We'll explore each of these stories in detail, discussing how the attackers gained access, how they're leveraging these vulnerabilities, the risks these pose to businesses, and what steps you can take to protect your organization. Let's begin with our first story, the phishing attack targeting Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot, an AI-driven assistant designed to integrate with various Microsoft products, is aimed at improving productivity and streamlining workflows. However, as with any new technology, it has quickly become a target for cybercriminals. Recent reports have uncovered a sophisticated phishing campaign that is exploiting the integration of Microsoft Copilot into Office 365, luring users into providing sensitive information. The attackers behind this campaign are using a technique known as consent phishing. This method involves tricking users into granting permissions to a malicious application, which is presented as a legitimate Microsoft Copilot request. The phishing email typically looks like a standard notification from Microsoft, asking the user to authorize the Copilot application to access their Office 365 account. Once the user grants permission, the attackers gain access to a wealth of data, including emails, files stored in OneDrive, and even the user's contact list. This attack is particularly dangerous because it bypasses traditional security measures like two-factor authentication, 2FA, and password protection. Since the user willingly grants the permissions, the malicious application is treated as a trusted entity within the Microsoft ecosystem. Once inside, attackers can extract sensitive information, conduct further phishing attacks using the compromised account, or even deploy ransomware. The implications of this attack are severe. For businesses, the unauthorized access to internal communications and sensitive data can lead to data breaches, financial losses, and reputational damage. Additionally, the attackers could potentially gain access to confidential client information, intellectual property, and strategic plans, which could be devastating for any organization. To mitigate the risks associated with this type of phishing attack, businesses should implement strict application consent policies. IT administrators should closely monitor which applications are granted access to company accounts and revoke permissions for any suspicious or unnecessary apps. Educating employees about the dangers of consent phishing is also crucial. Users should be trained to recognize phishing attempts and instructed to report any suspicious emails to their IT department immediately. Finally, enabling advanced threat protection features within Office 365 can help detect and block malicious applications before they can cause harm. Our second story revolves around the ongoing exploitation of a Cisco Smart Install feature. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, recently issued a warning about hackers actively abusing the Cisco Smart Install feature to gain unauthorized access to vulnerable devices. Cisco Smart Install is a plug-and-play configuration and image management feature that simplifies the deployment of new switches. However, this convenience comes at a cost, as it has become a prime target for attackers. The vulnerability lies in the fact that many organizations have left the Cisco Smart Install feature enabled on their network devices, often without realizing it. Hackers are scanning the internet for devices with this feature enabled and exploiting it to gain control over the affected systems. Once they have control, they can modify device configurations, install malicious software, or even create backdoors for future access. In some cases, attackers have used this vulnerability to conduct distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks, redirect network traffic, or exfiltrate sensitive data. The potential damage is significant, especially for organizations that rely on Cisco devices for their network infrastructure. A successful attack could lead to network outages, data breaches, and significant financial losses. To protect against this threat, CISA recommends that organizations disable the Cisco Smart Install feature on all devices unless it is absolutely necessary. Network administrators should also implement strict access controls to limit who can modify device configurations. Regularly updating network devices with the latest firmware is essential to ensure that any known vulnerabilities are patched. Additionally, organizations should monitor their networks for any unusual activity that could indicate an ongoing attack and be prepared to respond quickly if a breach is detected. Our final story today concerns a newly released exploit for a Cisco SSM bug that allows attackers to change admin passwords. The Cisco SSM, Software Support Management, bug is a critical vulnerability that affects certain Cisco devices, potentially allowing an attacker to gain administrative access by changing the admin password without authorization. This exploit was recently made public, putting countless organizations at risk. The exploit takes advantage of a flaw in the Cisco SSM feature, which is designed to help manage software licenses and support services. By sending a specially crafted request to the affected device, an attacker can bypass authentication and reset the admin password to one of their choosing. With administrative access, the attacker can then take full control of the device, potentially compromising the entire network. The release of this exploit into the wild is particularly concerning because it means that any organization using vulnerable Cisco devices is now at risk of being attacked. If successful, the attacker could not only disrupt network operations but also exfiltrate sensitive data, install malware, or use the compromised device as a launching point for further attacks. To mitigate this risk, Cisco has issued a security advisory and released patches for the affected devices. It is crucial that organizations apply these patches immediately to protect their systems. Additionally, network administrators should review and strengthen their access control policies to ensure that only authorized personnel can make changes to critical systems. Implementing network segmentation can also help contain the damage if a device is compromised, limiting the attacker's ability to move laterally within the network. As we've seen in today's episode, the threat landscape is constantly evolving, and cybercriminals are always finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities in widely used technologies. The phishing attack targeting Microsoft Copilot, the abuse of the Cisco Smart Install feature, and the exploit for the Cisco SSM bug are stark reminders of the importance of staying vigilant and proactive in protecting your organization's digital assets. Before we wrap up, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to the Daily Threat to stay informed about the latest cybersecurity news and best practices. Your security is our top priority, and staying ahead of these threats is essential to safeguarding your business. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Threat. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next episode.